Why do coaching prospects keep booking calls and never buy because they say they're broke? That's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Jason Nyback. I invest about $1 million a year into Facebook ads for my own business on teaching people how to get coaching clients from Facebook ads. We take what we learn and teach it to our clients and so on and so forth. So let's get into it. Why do broke coaching prospects keep booking calls and never buy? Well, let's talk about that, because there's nothing more frustrating than having a conversation with somebody who sounds qualified. They tell you they want to do it. They're so excited. They just, yes, this is exactly what I need. I need this. And an hour into the call, they're like, I just went bankrupt last week. There's no way I can do this. I really wish I could. But when I get to my bankruptcy, you're the first person I'm going to call. Or what do they say? You know what? I just don't have any money. I would love to do this if you could coach me for free, and then eventually I could pay you. I think we could work a deal up for that before maybe. Or I can't make a decision like this without talking to my spouse or partner, and they're never going to agree to this. And then so what happens? You hang up and you go, why is everybody broke? Why can nobody make decisions? Why do they keep booking calls and never buy, no matter what I say, no matter what I do? Let's talk about that. All right? So I'm going to tell you what we do. Okay? You can do whatever you want, but this is what we do. And so here's what we do. First of all, it starts with the audience. Okay? There's 3 things that we look at if we're experiencing this, or if we have a client experiencing this and we help them out with that. Okay? The first thing is wrong audience. All right, so here's the problem on Facebook. You do not want to get stuck in these big, broad audiences targeting 50, 60 million people and, all that kind of stuff. Because what the problem happens is you might just be bringing in really interested people who are clicking on your ads. Because the problem with Facebook, and other sources too that have ads, is it's not a problem of the platform. It's that people just click on stuff because they're bored and they're like, oh yeah, I'd like to lose 10 pounds. Who wouldn't want to lose 10 pounds? Let's see what they got. And then they start clicking around, and now they're in your thing, and then they start booking calls. They're not serious. And then the problem is, you got to remember, the majority of ads and audience structures and all that are run by AI, artificial intelligence. So the AI can only have an output based on an input. Okay, and here's what that means. So if the input is, oh, Sally or whoever, some fictitious person who's not qualified, clicked the ad and registered for whatever you have, well, now we have a data point to go find more people who look like Sally. See what I mean? The AI is going to take data points, and it's got an input, aka our fictitious Sally, booked, registered. So we now have a data point that Sally registered. So now we can take that data point and go back into your audience of 60 million people or whatever you're targeting and find more people like Sally. And so they're going to profile Sally, and then they get more and more and more. And then all of a sudden, you're like, why is everybody broke? Well, it's because in a lot of cases, our experience is the AI has correlated all these people and somehow found some commonalities between them all that seems like they're all similar. Maybe they're all unemployed. Maybe they're all, retired in the sense of, on Social Security type thing, quite old, have no business. Like, they're not going to buy. You know what I mean? But because of the input to the AI, the input on the AI, the output is, let's find more people like this. Because you got to remember something about Facebook, okay? And YouTube ads or wherever else. The biggest thing is this. They need people to keep coming back to the platform all day long, right? They need people to keep clicking and keep coming back and coming back. And if the ads are not matching, people are going to get frustrated, right? They're going to be like, oh, I'm sick of seeing these ads. And they're just going to leave the platform, because there's other platforms people can go, right? There's Twitter or X or whatever it is now, and various other platforms. You know them all. So the problem is all these platforms, specifically Facebook, needs to keep people coming back. So they need to make sure the ads are always relevant so that people get high click-through rates. And they're tracking all this, and they reward advertisers for it and so on and so forth. So the higher your click-through rate, the Facebook would then sees that as more relevant, right? It looks good for them. They make money. People keep coming back. They're clicking the ads. They're happy. Everybody's happy. except you, because then you're just getting broke people on your calls. So we're always, first of all, looking, is our audience too broad? We like to run our audiences at about 1 million people to 2 million people. No more. We don't need that. And remember, and we'll get to the ads in a minute here, but just because they're clicking doesn't mean they're qualified. So the first thing is we look at is, do we have the right audience? Okay, we want 1 million to 2 million people. None of this 60 million audience stuff when you're starting out. It's just too broad. It's just like going fishing in the ocean. You know what I mean? Just kind of taking your boat out there and seeing what you can find versus fishing in your fishing pond in your backyard that's stocked full of bass and you can see them. You just got to figure out which hook they're biting and go from there. All right, number 2. Before we get to number 2, make sure you click the like button so we know you like this and so it goes out there, and the subscribe button so we can get you more of these videos as they come out. Now, number 2 is a non-opportunity ad. Okay, one of the things we notice when we run ads is that the more opportunity-based the ad is, the worst type of qualified person's coming through it. Okay, so it sort of dovetails into what we were talking about with number 1. Remember, we get these, they're called happy clickers. People just, oh yeah, I'd love to lose 10 pounds. Oh, I'd love 20 pounds, great, that'd be awesome, great. You know, they're not serious, they're just interested and bored and lonely or whatever, right? And then remember the data points thing, and it's going through. What we do is we create disqualifying ads. We don't, not a qualifier ad, a disqualifier ad. So we want our ad to basically subconsciously message, do not click on me if you're just a low or a bored, happy clicker, okay? And so we're gonna put words on there and structure that ad to repel the wrong person, right? Because remember, when you're even in an audience of 1 million or 2 million people, Facebook's, in our experience, only going to run your ad to about 1% of that audience. And they're picking that based on this machine learning thing. They're scanning your ad. And again, they're seeing who's clicking on it, who's registering, all that kind of stuff. All those things matter because it's telling the AI what to do. The AI doesn't just make stuff up. It uses data points. So we want to give it the data points, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to say things like, are you a six-figure earning person working 50 plus hours a week in a professional job that you have just no time to focus on your health and weight loss, right? Do you see what we're doing there? And so what that's doing is we're profiling this and we're trying to repel people who are not that, right? So we're subconsciously trying to get in their head being like, don't click on this ad unless you're that person, okay? And then what that does is that helps. So now here's the problem, though, is what a lot of coaches don't like. The cost per click is higher. The cost per registration is also higher. And so coaches get concerned. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm paying too much money, when inevitably none of that matters. All of that's vanity. It's just vanity metrics, cheap leads, cheap call bookings, cheap. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is how much, what's your cost per sale, and how much is your revenue for sale. So you got those two things. It's the only thing that matters, right? Okay. Now, then the third thing we want to do, so that's the first two things we want to do. Then the third thing we want to do is make sure that the call is being done right. Here's one of the things that we see. I would say it's one of the biggest problems we see with coaches, okay, is coaches will get people on their calls who tell them, you know what, I don't have any money to do this, all right? And then they think it's an audience problem. When in fact, 90+% of the time that we see, it's actually a call problem. Because you got to determine, is it they don't have the money or they don't have the money for you, okay? It's a big distinction, okay? And how do you see this? Well, if you see them on social media and you see them, they live normal lives and all that kind of stuff, it's the fact that they just don't have money for you, all right? And so what we've got to do is go, okay, is the call script done properly? Or are we just doing what's called an opportunity-based call, where people are basically, buying from an opportunity? They're just like, oh, you're just selling some massive opportunity. People don't care about that. People are buying themselves out of the biggest problem. So at the end of that call, here's how do we tell if it's the call or the person, the way the call's structured. At the end of that call, let's say your coaching program, say 10K. If they get to the end of their call, and they feel like their problem is, if they can leave that call because their problem is only a $10,000 or less problem, they're not going to buy. No matter what, any sort of objection whack-a-mole things you do, arm wrestling them, over the phone, that kind of stuff, they don't care. Because why would they work with you? Why would they pay $10,000 for your coaching program when they only have a $10,000 or $8,000 problem? You see what I mean? They're, excuse me, they're not gonna. Very rarely will they ever do that. So when they get to the end of the call, if they know if I leave this call, the cost of me fixing this is 20, 30, 50,000, and I don't mean just financially. It could be spiritual, it could be emotional, it could be physical. Oftentimes the financial cost is the least. Okay, so but they need to understand the cost. So if you're just getting a bunch of opportunity seekers on, guess what? They don't have any cost, right? They don't care. They're just bored and thought they'd get some free advice out of you and then move on. And they're never going to implement it, any of that kind of stuff, right? Because let's be honest, they just don't care. And so that's why we want to work with the people who have a cost, right? Who are serious about this. And then that's the temperature gauge. Do these people who you're talking to, do they understand the cost is 10, 20, 30, or 20, 30, 40, 50,000 if they don't fix this versus investing, say, 10, 5, whatever it is with you. That's the differentiator, okay? And most coaches don't understand that. And so therefore, guess what they do? They go back to the audience, they try and find more, fix the audience, they try and fix this, they fix the ad, they fix this, when the whole time it was the call, all right? And we see this all the time. In fact, out of these three strategies, right? The audience, the ad, and the call, I would say the call is 95% of the problem. Now, obviously the audience and the ad can be an issue. Those are easy to fix. So that's what I would look at, and that's what we look at when we're going, why are broke prospects booking calls and never buy? This is what we look at. All right, so click the like button, subscribe, with more videos coming your way. Hope this was helpful. See you on the next video.